Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly for Saturday, June the 24th. It's officially summertime and it's hot out here. But I am doing the show from the car again today. Wife trying to get a little bit of rest before she goes to work tonight. So I thought I'd take it outside. Busy day today. Went and visited my mother and helped her to run some errands, and hey, always a good time. Was looking at my list, just last night actually. Coming up this Wednesday, we're going to finish up, well, we're not really going to finish up. We're going to kind of finish up our tour of Las Vegas resorts with the last property that's either on the Strip or downtown. If you can figure out what property we have not yet covered, leave it in the show notes below. The first person to guess it correctly will win a prize. And you could theoretically go back and watch like all 80-some episodes, but I probably wouldn't recommend that. So that'll be coming up. Then we'll do a few off-strip properties, and if we kind of run out of stuff to do, we'll do a few other things to wrap up the 100 episodes of Vegas Tips and Tricks on the Wednesday show. Today's show's a little bit self-serving, but not as much as it could be. I've been thinking quite a bit the last couple of weeks, the last few days actually specifically, trying to put together my John Timber 60 celebration coming up in Las Vegas now in around 70 some days. PJ, let us know exactly how many that is. Probably about 72, I think. And it got me thinking about a topic that I think is really worthwhile covering as kind of an advanced Vegas tips and tricks topic. And that is planning a sort of group event in Las Vegas. Sorry, we're kind of moving around here. I had opened the door here because it's a little bit warm in the car. Sorry, once again, the lighting not so perfect, but PJ says the sound is better, so there you go. Maybe it's the echoing in here. From now on, I'll record in a box. So it got me thinking about that because a lot of people, when they go to Vegas, are going to Vegas for some kind of event. And for some people, obviously, it's business related. They're going for some sort of a convention, meeting of some sort. We're not really talking about that today, although we may cover that at some point. We're talking about those kinds of Vegas trips that at least a few people, probably in September, will take with the idea that they're coming out for my birthday. And certainly a sort of milestone birthday can fit into this category. Could also be, a retirement event. I may have to do one of those one of these days. Looking forward to that. We keep sliding sideways. There we go. It could be a reunion of sorts with some friends from high school, college, work, whatever it might be. Could be a bachelor or bachelorette party. Could be an actual wedding. Definitely have seen some of the nightmares and some of the difficulties of trying to put that sort of thing together, sort of up close. But anytime you're planning sort of a group trip to Las Vegas, even if not everybody is going to be together all the time or stay together all the time, it does offer some unique challenges. I remember a few years ago when we had the website, I devoted a fairly long article to this very topic, and that was, hey, how should you deal with events or group activities in Las Vegas? So I'm going to share some of those ideas again today. Going to be in Las Vegas, as many of you know who've watched the channel pretty regularly, from afternoon of September 3rd until sort of afternoon of September 8th. So 4 sort of real days. The police are coming for me. If you didn't hear that, there were sirens in the background. And for, the last several years, I've actually gone to Vegas on my birthday. I'd only done it maybe twice the first 20, 25 years I went to Vegas, but I've done it much more recently. It's a reasonably good time for me to get away, and people seem to enjoy that time of year. And then also, my very good friend Mark, his birthday is one day before mine, and so the last couple of years in particular, I've gone out mostly for his birthday, but then kind of trying to steal a little of his thunder at the end of the night. So, what are some of the challenges, some of the opportunities, and some of the pitfalls that you want to avoid if you're taking a group trip to Las Vegas? For one thing, the size of the group is important here. Obviously, if you're traveling out there with a couple of other couples, if there's 4, 6, 8 people, sort of different rules apply. If you're planning to stay together for several days, that's something to keep an eye on. I would caution against that unless you've actually lived with these people before, because actually spending all of those sort of private, getting ready, going to bed, those kinds of dynamics with people that you don't know, that you haven't done that with before, you can find yourself with a lot of conflicts along the way. But what we're really thinking about is larger events, as the ones that I mentioned earlier. And here I think the biggest pitfall that people have with things like this is over planning, is over trying to make this like some organic group that's going to be together all the time. Not going to work. Okay. For example, if you go out for a wedding, certainly the wedding itself, perhaps the reception, if there's a dance, those kinds of things. Yeah, everybody's going to be involved in that. But not everybody's going to want to be involved with everything you're going to want to be involved with. And you're not going to want all of those people to be involved in everything. So, depending on the event, depending on the people, you're going to make different choices as far as who's going to be involved. I'm going to come right out and say this. There's going to be probably a handful of people on my trip in September that I'm going to really sort of spend most of my time with, to be fair. Very close friends, family members. Those people are going to have access to me more often than the sort of casual fan of the show or, a person I've met once or twice briefly. And that's a fair thing to do. If you're traveling out for a big event, keep in mind who's going and don't try to include everybody in everything. If you know people, if you kind of understand their likes and dislikes, you're going to be better able to decide, who you want to spend time with doing what. For example, on my trip, I'm going to be spending my birthday night. I'm going to go downtown. Well, there's some people that don't really like downtown very much. So, if they're not going to be able to make it down there for that or don't want to be down there for that, that's okay. If you have a bachelor or bachelorette party, you may have a wild night planned out at some club with male or female exotic dancers. But at the same time, you may know that there are some people in the group, it could be family members, could just be friends of yours, who are not going to be interested in that, who are going to be really uncomfortable in that situation. So, tailor the events, tailor the invites to the things you do to the kind of people that are going to be there. Of course, one of the problems that you run into with any group of folks is you may not always know who is into what they're going to like. If they haven't been to Las Vegas before, you have no idea what their reaction is going to be to Las Vegas. There are people who get there and immediately fall in love with the place. That can be bad sometimes. They may gamble all night long, drink all night long. You may not see them for 3 days. On the other hand, you're going to have people that are really kind of turned off by it. So keep in mind, be flexible. If you invite people to something, maybe you're all going to go play roulette somewhere, or you're going to go out to a club somewhere and drink. Keep in mind that if people don't show up, you shouldn't necessarily take offense. Maybe it's just something they're not comfortable with, something that they've discovered is not something they want to do. Along those lines, and again, it kind of depends on the event, but if you've got 20 people going to Las Vegas, you're not all going to be doing the same thing together all the time. Even if you're very compatible, even if those people like some of the very same things, it's just not feasible to bring everybody together. Meals, for example. Yeah, you can find restaurants where they'll set aside, a table for, a group of tables for 20, 25 people, but it's not really going to be a very intimate, fun experience. Maybe better to have 3 meals, with 8 different people each time. So you actually get a chance to interact with those folks, then try to set up an event for 25 people where you're not really going to have much of an opportunity to talk to anyone in particular. Again, keep in mind, people maybe get invited to things, may not be able to make it, may not show up. Don't take offense to that. So really try, when you have a group activity or a group gathering in Las Vegas, try not to overschedule people. Obviously if you have a wedding, as I talked about, they're going to be at the wedding. They're going to be, at the reception, we hope. But don't try to create like events all the time. Maybe you have one event, sort of big event a day, and you invite people, but you realize that it's not going to be for everybody, and you are fine if people don't show up. People get offended sometimes, hey, why didn't Bobby show up today or Jimmy show up today? Don't, okay? Unless, Bobby's your spouse or, father-in-law maybe. That could be bad. But otherwise, give people a lot of freedom. Vegas is, one of the great things about Vegas is it's just such a great place to wander around and discover things. And particularly for people that have not spent a lot of time there, that is such a great part of the experience. If you're watching this show, there's a good chance you are someone who has spent a lot of time in Vegas, your experience and your perspective is going to be a little different than they are. So, let those folks go out, let those folks explore, find out about Vegas by themselves and enjoy the time, and don't try to shoehorn them into activities. So again, would recommend no more than one major activity a day, again, unless it's your wedding day or it's like sort of the culmination of the whole trip. And just don't overschedule people. Give them a lot of free time. Create events that include different people, that give you an opportunity to spend time with different people. Because quite frankly, you can't really have a party with 25 people somewhere. At least not, if you're celebrating something personal. It's just not going to work because you're not going to be able to spend time with most of those folks. You're going to end up at different tables, talking to different people. And that can be great fun, but it's not really going to provide that sort of intimacy, that sort of connection that presumably you want to get out of this thing. So, also, if you're wanting to create some sort of a big event, it's important to go ahead in advance and try to find a venue. If 35 people show up at a bar, might not work out so well. Same thing at a restaurant. So, try to find a venue, a location that can accommodate your group, because you don't want to be embarrassed and not be able to do the thing you wanted to do. At the same time, you don't want to suddenly discover that, there's 30 people in your group and like only 9 of them can get in. So that's an important feature. Again, to recap things, if you've got a large group of people going to Vegas for some event, schedule major events minimally. Try to provide opportunities for different groups of people to connect at different times, rather than trying to have everyone connect all the time. If you must bring everybody together, try to find a venue in advance that's going to accommodate you so that you don't find yourself being embarrassed and not being able to get in and get everyone in. And again, probably most important of all, make sure you accommodate individual differences. If you've never traveled with someone or spent time with someone on a vacation or an outing, you really don't know how they're going to behave. So give people a lot of slack. Let them do what they want to do. Let them have a good time. What's really important for your event in Las Vegas is that you feel good about it and you're the people that attend feel good about it, have a great time, and want to come back. All right, if you've got any tips about how to create an event in Las Vegas or how to make an event in Las Vegas work better, again, please leave those in the comments below. I read all the comments. I reply to pretty much everything unless it's total nonsense. We'll be back next week with another episode of Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. We'll be back on Wednesday where we'll be talking about what hotel? Tell me in the comments below. And until then, I hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.